Hello, everyone. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the co-host of DisrupTV. Typically, Ray is the one here doing the intro, but he'll be joining us shortly. We're fortunate to have incredible guests on our show today, and in reverse order, we'll start with Brian. Tell us where you're dialing in from and what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, hey, well, super excited to be here. My name's Brian Bryson. I'm coming live from Vancouver, British Columbia today, and I'm the principal technology analyst at MIT Technology Review, and I'm here to talk about some of the key topics that are on our minds as MIT Technology Review, and that we're going to be exploring at our upcoming AI conference, MTech AI, which takes place online and on campus at MIT just a couple of weeks, April 21. So looking forward to diving into some of the most interesting things about AI with you. And I see now we have Ray.
Oh, hey, great to see you. How you doing?
Welcome, Ray. Marcus, welcome. Tell us about what we're going to talk about today.
Hi, yeah, I'm well, my 11th, I guess, book is coming out next Tuesday on the April 7th, which is
look at that.
I know, ridiculous. It's called Design Love In. So we're going to talk about how you design experiences. There are people say, I love that, and why love is the most powerful driver of productive human behavior, and how do we design it into an increasingly loveless, trustless world?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Marcus. Well, Al, our world-class producer, where do we go? Let us know.
Time for the count. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on DisrupTV. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Salesforce and your co-host for the next hour. Send Ray, myself, our distinguished guests, your questions at DisrupTV Show on X, and we'll do our best to answer them in the next hour. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Ray Wang. He's the CEO, founder of Constellation Research. He's the best-selling author of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I don't know, Ray, I think I see you on TV just about every day. CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg. He's one of the top futurists to follow on X at RWANG0. Welcome, Mr. Wang, to DisrupTV.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm here with Wang Vala Afshar, Chief Digital Evangelist of Salesforce. He's also the author of multiple books, including Boundless and Autonomous. I've got these things with me all the time. Bestsellers on Amazon. And of course, these are paths to the future. Executives around the world pay attention to every one of his inspirational and insightful tweets. And when he's not hosting, keynoting, or leading events at Salesforce, you can see him speaking on business TV outlets like Bloomberg, and of course, posting insightful analyses mostly about this show and what's going on in the world of AI and agentic AI on ZDNet. But if you haven't seen him speak, it is a treat. He's one of the top keynoters in the world. Companies are asking for him every day, and I don't know how he finds time to actually do all the travel and be on this show. But it's not about us. We always have amazing guests, and who do we have to kick it off today?
It is our privilege to have Brian Bryson, Principal Analyst, Technology and Business at MIT Technology Review, where Brian interprets how emerging technologies are reshaping business strategy and leadership. Brian's work focuses on domains including artificial intelligence, climate and energy technologies, enterprise system, and breakthrough scientific research, helping executive leaders understand how innovation moves from research into real-world impact, which we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes. Brian's perspective is informed by years of analyzing technology markets while developing conference programs and executive forums. We're going to hear about an exceptional event in a couple of weeks, attended by thousands of senior leaders across global technology industry. Brian brings a multidisciplinary perspective to intersection of technology, strategy, and innovation. Welcome, Brian, to Disrupt TV.
Wow, that's a hell of an intro. Thank you, sir.
I had to cut your bio short. We only have 20 minutes, so we've done a lot.
This is the best intro in the business. And of course, you got to get the Vala Afshar intro. Like, people are dying for that. I think they have these clips like on their social channels, like, I got introed by Vala. I'm like,
I know.
excited. So
I feel like I should have. I don't have a book. I'm not an author, but I feel like I should have been promoing the MIT Technology Review magazine.
You
like,
write a book every month or more.
You write a book every month. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That's what I was going to say.
I've been privileged to be in your magazine, like Technology Review, maybe like twice. And I think I had to come in with David Bray, if you know David Bray. But anyway,
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We wrote the thing on AI ethics. The great integration. AI is no longer a sidecar. It's moving into core systems, and you're talking about that. So what happens, right? I mean, it's everywhere. It's like air. So what happens when AI becomes infrastructure?
Yeah. So the thing there is, when AI becomes infrastructure, it stops being optional. It becomes embedded in every core business process. And that means performance, reliability, and cost suddenly really start to matter at a systems level. And I think some of the interesting things about what happens when you sort of integrate AI into your business is that from a high level, you're introducing probabilistic behavior into deterministic environments. You know this from your background, Ray, right? Of in the ERP world, right? We've got these systems that run our businesses that are based on business rules, and it's very predictable: input, process, output. But now we're introducing probability into that with AI. And it's, that changes how systems are designed, changes how they're tested. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but changes how they're trusted. And it shifts the competitive dynamics, because, we've had, we're 2020, it's a couple of years now since we've had AI. And so the competitive dynamic has switched. It's not so much access to AI that differentiates the leaders from the followers. It's those the new leaders, the ones that are getting ahead today, are the ones that are integrating AI across the enterprise.
Let's drill deeper on the deterministic versus probabilistic piece, because I think that's really important. Because deterministic, we got the rules, we're following them exactly to the T, but these are probabilistic systems that are now guessing around the edges, and they're a little gray. And what happens if I'm only 98% accurate? Is that okay in finance? No. Is that okay for experience? Maybe. So we're at the beginning of sentience. Is that where we're going?
I don't know, we're at the beginning of sentience. You depends who you're going to talk to about that, but I'll stick with my buddy Jan LeCun, and he was like, no.
Jan's like, no. Jan's a hard no. Jan's a hard no.
He's a hard no. Or
he's a hard no.
Like this. Yeah. Well, Jeff Hinton might be a little bit different, actually, but yeah, no. We're introducing this probabilistic behavior into our systems, and it's breaking things, as it goes. The fundamental assumptions of systems are now being broken. Governance models are being broken by this introduction to it, and trust, if we're not careful, is also can be broken. Like, the success of AI will be predicated on our ability to trust it. And if internally, if your teams don't trust the outputs, or worse, externally, if your customers lose confidence, that trust is AI's Achilles heel. So we're playing with sentience, but we're playing with fire here. You know what I mean?
And with no guardrails.
And as much as there's cautious optimism and enthusiasm about all of this, the pressure is from top and bottom. Yeah. When I say 100%. Bottom, university students that graduate this year, it's the first graduating class where they've had 4 years of Gen AI experience.
Ooh, yeah, that's so true, Vala.
Wow.
From
is that right?
First generation, the world woke up November 2022 with this whole generative, that what we call the ChatGPT moment, I guess.
Right.
And so you've got students who want to work for employers that not only have embraced generative AI, but are also embracing agentic and physical AI. Whether it's autonomous vehicles, humanoid robots, drones, smart glasses, the physical side, and of course the agentic. And then you've written, and you've covered, obviously, at MIT Review, how this is not a CIO conversation anymore.
No.
This is CEO, it's board level. I mean, my good friend here, Ray, just hosted 150 board member CEOs a couple of weeks ago, and he can attest to that. Everyone is talking about this. And
Every CEO is a
for those
chief
of us who've been in technology, cloud wasn't a boardroom discussion, mobile, social.
Yeah.
I can list all these technologies the last 20 years, led by IT mostly.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, this urgency from both sides. And again, this evolution moving from chat to software now that it can take action on your behalf unsupervised, digital labor.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So a lot to cover. Let's start with, let me start with the leadership angle.
The K questions.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot in there. And if I drop any along the way, just remind me what I've missed. But you're absolutely right. Like AI is no longer a CIO project. It's a CEO mandate. Like this is critical for future operational success. And so, from a leadership perspective, I guess we'll go for top down. I can talk about bottom up in a second, but from a leadership perspective, you're shifting from sort of sponsoring pilot projects to really redesigning how the companies have to operate. You're playing with workflows, you're playing with roles, you're playing with decision making. You're not. I mean, yes, you're deploying AI, but if you're the one who's going to win the race, you are really redesigning your company around this. It's we're and I guess that maybe that comes to that second point you're making, Vala, is like we've moved from this area or this era of AI being assistive to this era, if you will, of AI becoming agentic, where it was helping us before, but now it's actually doing this stuff.
Right.
And we're starting this, we see this from a bottom up, right? People are looking, so from the bottom up perspective, you see a lot of pilot projects in just sort of personal efficiency and it's the word I'm looking for. Efficiency and productivity is the word I was grabbing for there, where they're realizing that, hey, I do this task 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's bounded. I understand it. It's something I can maybe hand off to an AI agent. And now, I mean, I'll even speak for myself a little bit here. The AI coding side of what's happening in the agentic world is making this all possible. We now all have at our disposal, at our fingertips, or even at our voice, a literal co-pilot who can code anything that we want to, within reason. And I don't want to get overblown. I know there's lots of issues, and I'm happily discuss, some of the larger problems of agentic AI coding and whatnot. But we all now have access to a partner that can do these things for us. So I'll give you a personal example, guys. So we have our conferences coming up, April 21. And one of the things we always we struggle with is getting feedback from the audience. Like, how do we know, are they liking this session? Is the food going over well? Are they too hot? Are they too cold? Conference stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so we came up with the idea, what if they could text us? What if they could just text, hey, MTech, it's too cold in here, or great speaker, or where did you guys get this guy from? Or, you're running low on Red Bulls, that sort of stuff. And, that idea went from idea to implement. So we implemented it. We coded using agentic AI, a system that lets you text anything. It now goes to a conference dashboard that our conference operators will be able to watch and monitor and get an idea of how they're liking the session, how they're liking the food, how they're liking the environment. And that went from idea to implementation in about 20 hours.
Nice.
And to
amazing.
I was a developer, but that was 20 something years ago. I haven't touched code since Visual Basic. So this, to be able to do things like this really shows that bottom up approach of how can I become augmented? How can I improve my own personal productivity? So between that bottom up of exploration and the downward push of just a force to integrating, great times ahead. I am really excited about what's possible now.
When you give that example, where you make your organization accessible. You create a very frictionless method of engaging with your stakeholders, and you scale ability to respond. It just reminds me that this is more than just technological transformation. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
really relational transformation, because the folks attending your conference in the next 2 weeks know that you care more about them. And of course, our next guest, Marcus, is going to talk about the importance of love.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah, I'm
fact
excited
that
for it.
You care about the temperature, you care about the food quality, you care about enough, signage to make sure people know where to get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really relational transformation powered by technology, and people that take the time and energy to recognize that, it could allow you to get closer to your stakeholders in a meaningful way. I think those are the folks that are going to ultimately, maintain agency and relevance moving forward.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the themes that I think will come clear at the conference, like we're exploring the idea of like, where's AI having the biggest impact, and so let me tell you, probably very much like you guys, now that I think of it, the best part of my job is, in preparation for the conference, I get to have I and others get to have a 30-minute conversation with every speaker, and we tell them about the audience, we tell them about sort of what the big picture is, and then I get like a 30-minute one-on-one interview with these fantastic people on the frontier of innovation. And so I have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen on stage, and I think one of the themes that's going to come clear is the AI projects that have the most impact are the ones that touch revenue or people. And so just kind of like what you were saying about how this, this touches the people, it gives them a voice to let you know, oh, it's too cold in here. Oh, the speaker's great. The speaker's terrible, whatever. Those are the projects that we're starting to see implement, where people are sort of putting their efforts and seeing that initial sort of great value. And I think I got a lot of thoughts on which projects to sort of take on first, but the ones, I think the theme that, if I can sort of preview what some of the people are going to say when we talk about AI having an impact, it's where it hits. So there's cost efficiencies, is probably the biggest one today. The next one is going to be revenue, where it starts to really affect the bottom line, where I still see, right now it's more about cost, but revenue is coming. And then the third one where I think we're actually already there, we see it is in customer interaction. We've seen it with, just basic chat bots on sites. But anything that enables that easier customer interaction with an organization, it's just like what you were saying.
Yeah, no. And this is important, right? Because you're looking at revenue and ROI, and, like you guys say on the site, the future isn't built with AI, it's built on it. And when you're building on it, the question is, what are the revenue drivers? Like, how are people getting to the ROI equation? That's going to be one of the that's going to be the big question about hype to revenue machines. So tell me which AI deployments are actually getting revenue. Where are you seeing this margin expansion? Because the companies that get it, and the companies that don't, look like they're falling behind like crazy.
Yeah. So can I just take a quick, I want to come back to your question.
Go back to where you were.
But I want to, you mentioned a phrase from our website, the future isn't built with AI, it's built on it. Now, when we plan these conferences, we do it about 8 months out. And
I know, we're trying. Great phrase, man. You were like prescient, Yeah,
but here's the thing: the future. So yes, the future is not built with AI; it's built on it, but it's also built with AI. Like when we first started the development of the conference, agentic AI computing was there. There was Codex was kind of there. There was some of the other companies were kind of there, but now the future is actually built with and on AI. And I see that phrase all the time because I'm always checking out the website, and I'm like, what do I do? Should we change that? Or
you need to put a cross with a red, and then like with the with and then with an updated date and time down to the millisecond. It'd be kind of very MIT-ish, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like, so if you talk about sort of where we're seeing the unlocks, the real value showing up in core business functions. We have a chapter at the conference, which is kind of like just sort of a series of talks we call revenue machines. And we chose, and the idea was to explore the 3 areas where AI is having the biggest impact. And we picked coding, sales, and marketing. And I think those are pretty good. I mean, coding is a huge one. There's great gains in productivity. In fact, the whole story about building up this text input sort of system is a perfect testimonial to it. We're seeing it in sales, not so much. Sales is an interesting one. Sales in like the forecasting side, the management side, the prospecting side, not so much the actual closing side. That's still very human, and I think probably will be. And definitely in marketing, marketing in terms of you see it all the time in marketing copy. You see in image generation and all of that sort of side of marketing. So there's a couple quick hits. I think if I were, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I was to say, for folks falling around, I mean, the conference is well designed, right? You start with the integration conversation, then the execute, then the connect. And so when you get to revenue machines, like people at that point are like, okay, I think I can do this. And then, then the next day they're like, how am I going to do this? Which is, it's well designed. I really like the structure. So, well,
I'm glad you say, I was going to say, if I were to do it again, the revenue machines one, and it turns out we came out okay on it, is I would say sort of like customer service would probably be in there. And maybe I would have pulled sales out. Not that sales isn't important, but it's just not having that revenue impact. But where we got lucky with the conference is we have Kelly Romack, CIO at ServiceNow, and they have used agentic AI to automate their IT ticket processing. And she's going to come tell us a story about how they now 85% of their tickets are processed by AI agents. And the feedback is the internal users that are creating these tickets are happier than when they had to deal with humans on it. Which, I mean, we've all used interactive voice phone systems. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 to hear my stupid sales offer. This is far different than that. This is like agentic understanding of tickets and processing of tickets. And she's now been able to take that, reduce her staff, puts them off into far more interesting projects. She's going to talk about some of the things, and it's just accelerating. But I think that customer order management stuff is probably one that I wish I could have dug in a little bit more, but thankfully ServiceNow is coming to save our bacon on that topic.
No, you're going to find, I don't see any part of my current business not utilizing agentic capabilities. The commerce side is interesting. When we looked at the month of November and December through our commerce cloud, we saw 1.5 billion transactions, which led to $1.3 trillion of commerce, November and December. So from Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week, and all the way through December, 262 billion of the 1.3 trillion, $1 in $5 was e-commerce touched by an agent. Product recommendation, upsell.
Unbelievable.
So 20% this year. I can't even imagine what will happen this November, December. So the sales side, the other.
You're on the so you're at the frontier then. And now you're making me think that you should be at the conference to tell these stories.
You probably should be at the conference.
I'll try to attend. I have the dates now. I'll list you what?
So Brian, the story he probably can't tell, and I probably should tell for him, is like they have this great story on campaign to cash, where literally because of agents, they finally were able to get the leads and inbounds that they never could have gotten before. What was that number, Vala? Like it's like a huge number where you guys were able to get inbound.
Just in our small business part, just the SMB. So what happened is, it's funny, it was our CIO who went to our head of SMB and said, are there any leads that none of your men and women in sales are looking at? Not thinking what the number would be.
Sure.
And so the SMB leader comes back and says, yeah, here's 350,000 leads we're not looking at. For whatever reason, the customer didn't respond, low buying signal. We have probabilistic assignments for the lead. So we took the 350,000, fed it to an agent, and produced 10 million in revenue in 90 days. And the agent went to the account and the contact and started engaging the user.
Unbelievable.
And then handed it to the human once the signals reached a certain probability threshold. We called it dust that was sitting on the ground, literally leads that were ignored. And so I believe, this is my projection, in the company history, we've probably ignored tens of millions of leads. And now I call this reclamation of value. So the focus may be the last couple of years, productivity, efficiency, EBITDA margin. But once you realize that the repetitive, deterministic, low-value tasks are now being transferred cognitively to an agent, what happens is you free up your bench of humans, and now you get to go after stuff that you ignored in the past, latent signals, So value reclamation is going to be, I think, the story of the next 5 years with agentic, because believe you me, even digital native companies like mine, we were born in the cloud, mobile, social. We're not a digital immigrant company. We had so much signals we ignored. That's no longer the case. So anyway, there's some magic behind all of this that's unbelievable.
Isn't it? Like, yeah, you're just augmenting the entire sales process, right?
Exactly.
What gets more interesting, right? The fact is everyone's going to go back through their data now and remine and look for more signals, more intent, more opportunities than they could. So the sales cycle is actually now a full loop. So.
Yeah.
It's funny when you hear like autonomous system, you naturally think autonomy means you're free, you're separated, you get to do, where in fact, autonomy means you're deeply connected, deeply integrated, deeply thinking about distribution. Go get a ride in a Waymo. When you sit in that Waymo and you see the LiDAR, the radar, the extended audio receivers, the high precision camera, that autonomous machine is more connected because it's immersed itself in the digital twin of the world. So as businesses onboard agents and robots, they are becoming deeply connected. It's kind of a delicious paradox. You hear autonomy, you don't realize what it means. It's more connected than ever before. It's
so fun.
It's not what you first think about.
We've got the chief, just brief story. I know we're running out of time, but we had the chief people officer of Walmart coming in to talk about AI integration at Walmart. 2 million employees, largest private employer in the United States, partnership with OpenAI, incredible integration story of AI becoming part of the process. And in her pre-interview, she hit me with the quote that the era of AI demos is over, and now this is the era of AI revenue. And I think you're on the cutting edge of it, Vala. They're seeing it at Walmart. I think you're absolutely right. There's money that's been just invisible that's now being found.
You know, Donna has a great story because she's also coming from the tech world and now into that retail environment, which is an amazing kind of story. Donna Morris, right? I think you guys have
Morris, exactly right. Yeah,
So Donna's a powerhouse in that space. So hey, so when we look at this, when we come back from a conference, like, you know, people walking out of here, what do you want them to feel like? You know, the end of day one, the end of day two, and then the end of the conference. What was that experience design that you're looking at for your conference?
So, you know, the first day of the conference is really more of an evening, and it's really just setting up the state of AI. We've got Donna Morris is speaking then. We've got the guy who's running ChatGPT engineering, sort of a technical perspective. We've got the Dean of Computer Science for MIT coming to give sort of a realistic perspective. And we just want people to feel like, I get it. Here's where we are. I see where I stand relative to the pack. I see what the leaders are doing. I see what the laggards are doing, and I can place myself in that spectrum of AI progress.
Great.
You mentioned it up front, Ray. The theme of the second day is execute. And that is, how do I do it? And so that's where we're going to talk. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about agents. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about revenue machines. We're going to talk about the new AI stack, like the implementation things that are necessary. We're going to get into some fun imagination type topics, but we're going to, and what I want them to feel at the end of that day is, I've seen success. So I've seen some great use cases of people who are doing it, and I can do it. I now understand what needs to be in place, and that's technical. You know, as like with the AI stack, we're talking about AI orchestration and security and whatnot, but it's also workflow and process and how that all works. And so if we can leave them with a feeling of like, I know where I am, I see what's possible in the future, I know how to get in the future, or how to advance myself in the future. That's what I want them to feel. And then we end the conference with sort of an exploration of what's next. And we have, we've got the head of research for IBM Watson and an MIT lab coming in about where AI is really going. And this is getting a little bit away from our 12-month ahead model. This is getting into your 24, 36 longer term plans for AI. And we're leaving them with like the North Star of like, we're all going to get there. And this is the big picture of where we're all going. So it's
such important work you're doing.
I just want them to have a strategic, what they need for their strategic planning for the next 12 months. That's my goal every year. Yeah.
Brian Bryson, Principal Analyst, Technology and Business at MIT Technology Review. They've got MTech AI. It's going on the 21st and 26th at MIT. Definitely check it out if you haven't signed up for the conference. And of course, we got to get you to our conference, our AI forums. And
I look forward to it.
Connected Enterprise. You have an open invite. Happy to have you there. So thank
you so much. Let me leave one parting for your guests. If they register with the code DisrupTV26, we'll give them 20% off their registration. So we'll see if we can.
All right.
I'll send that into your comments.
You and I need to reg.
Anyone listening to this podcast, DisrupTV26 gets you 20% off. Thanks to Ray and Vala for having me.
Brian, we are so happy to have you here. Look forward to future collaborations. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great times.
That's going to be one hell of a conference.
I got to tell you, the sense of urgency needs to be high. This is not, I've been in tech for 30 years. This doesn't follow the rules of other technology. And I think it's electricity for the 21st century, but nothing is more important than the word and the topic we're going to cover. And
there's no one more electrifying to talk about it.
Absolutely. Marcus Buckingham, author of Design Love in How to Unleash the Most Powerful Force in Business. The book comes out next Tuesday. Ray, this is Marcus's 11th book. Design Love In argues that love, defined as a deep connection, making people feel seen, valued, and inspired, is a measurable driver of performance, not just a soft emotion. It provides a blueprint for leaders to intentionally design loving experiences that boost engagement and retention. Marcus is the author of many best-selling business books, some of all time. He has 3 of Harvard Business Review's most circulated, industry-changing cover articles, and has been the subject of in-depth profiles in New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Forbes, all the major publications. After spending 2 decades studying excellence at the Gallup organization and co-creating StrengthsFinder tool, Marcus built his own coaching and education firm, the Marcus Buckingham Company. As CEO, he quickly turned it into a human capital management company, working with some of the world's largest organizations. The company was sold to ADP in 2017. Known as the world's most prominent researcher on strengths, love, and leadership at work, Marcus' database discoveries are unlocking the best in each of us and defining the future of how we work. He's the author of, as I mentioned, 10 books, and his latest bestseller is coming out again next Tuesday. Welcome, Marcus, to Disrupt TV.
Thanks, Vala. Thanks for having me, and good to see you, Ray.
Hey, great to see you again, man. It's been a while, but I know you've been busy at work. But let's look back into history for a little bit. 2017, you sell this to ADP, your beloved company, and then tell me more what happened from that point on, because it was a whole different world after that. So,
well, I'm sure you know this. When you're starting a business, and I'm a researcher by training, but I'm also an entrepreneur. And the wonderful thing about coming to America, as I did in '87, is that it's a very entrepreneurial environment. You get to experiment and to try and to leap and to fail and to leap again. And when you build a business, it's just a lot of love in it. You love the idea, there's sort of a delusional element of it. You try to get other people around you who love it like you do. You have passion and love for customers. There's just a lot of love in a growing business. And at the time, 2017, ADP has 3,000 salespeople, great people. They wanted to sort of expand into the world of human capital management. I kind of had a world that was about that. So in my brain, I'm thinking more reach, more opportunity to scale. The price was right. The timing felt right. A lot of things that I think felt right. But it's funny, almost immediately when you sell your love-filled baby, pretty soon in large organizations, if we're not careful, the running of the machine becomes what you talk about all the time. So you're talking about budgets, you're talking about compliance, you're talking about constraints. And as the poet Pablo Neruda says, love may be built in savoring, but love dies from neglect. It dies from forgetting. When you just start talking about a whole bunch of, no knock on ADP, like they're just running a machine. And that's okay. That's the way many, many companies run. But when you stop talking about love, when you stop talking about the passion that you have for the product or the passion you have for the customers, the love you have for the idea, the love you have for the better world, then it withers. And so, shame on me, mea culpa, but you wake up after a couple of years and you find everything has become, the conversations have been different and love has died from neglect.
I think he also said you may cut the flowers, but spring will still come. So clearly you didn't let that process of taking love away from distracting you from what has been core to you for your whole life, which is to design love and passion into how you educate and inspire people. But I have to tell you, like, it feels like we deliberately take love out of institutions and businesses. And not often I'm at a place where I feel the love, whether it's at an airport or at a hotel or at work. Or why is that? Why do we, you know, I used to be an athlete. I know it's hard to tell now, but I would remember when I would get into a flow state, like where everything was like perfect. Like I was at the right spot. I made the right pass or the right shot. If I was on a basketball court, people would come by and say, I waved hello to you and you didn't wave back. And I'm like, man, I was in a flow state. You could have landed an airplane next to the court. I wouldn't have noticed. And I feel like, you know, flow is all around us, but we come up with clever ways of disrupting it. Why do we take love out of the environments we're a part of? And how can your book help us recognize that we're doing this and it's hurting us?
Well, to begin with, I start the book with data, which sounds odd when you're like comparing, you know, love to data. But
I know I was going to ask you that. I was like,
data with a soul. Brené Brown said, all good stories are data with a soul. So I suspect your data is very soulful.
Well, yeah, it's if you're not careful, you flatten cliche. Love is like Love Island, or it's like my mom. But if you actually look at the data and you look at extreme positive human outcomes like productivity, you were talking before about revenue, which of course brings passion from customers and loyalty and advocacy. Like you want those outcomes. You want the same from your colleagues. If you look at extreme positive outcomes, there's two different ways to get those outcomes. You can do it directly with your employees. You can set goals and then incentivize them and do coaching and feedback and critical feedback and incent. Same with customers. You can set prices, you can incentivize, you can do loyalty programs, you can directly try to drive those outcomes. And that works for a short period of time. The data on it is unequivocal though. If you want sustainable extreme positive outcomes, you've got to apply the logic of experiences drive behaviors, drive outcomes. Experiences drive behaviors, drive outcomes. So if you want sustainably productive outcomes, you've got to go upstream and design extreme positive experiences. Well, if you look at extreme positive experiences and you just do primary qualitative research, you just do focus groups with super happy customers or in-depth interviews with super engaged employees, and you just get them to talk. The word they use is love. The word we humans spontaneously use to describe extreme positive experiences. Yes, it's about my mom. Yes, it could be a romantic thing, but it's also, I love that team. I love that brand. I love that company. I love that conference. We just listened to Brian. And the last question that Ray had was, how do you want people to feel? Why did Ray ask that? Because he knows that feelings drive behavior, drive outcomes.
Yep.
So we have to be, every leader is really an experience maker. Brian, he's an experience maker. What he's trying to do, using AI or not, he's trying to figure out how the heck do I get people to have such an extreme positive experience? They come back. How do we do that? And when you push into that, Vala, you bump into that word love. And shame on me. I kept changing it. I kept trying to find synonyms that were more businessy, like passion, like joy, like engagement.
I'm so happy you didn't.
But it's so tempting to, because it doesn't sound businessy enough, you know. But really, when push comes to shove, the real challenge for us in business, as odd as it sounds, and by the way, the data behind it, not to get too wonky on this, but the relationship between experiences and outcomes isn't linear. It's curvilinear, which means moving someone from a 2 experience to a 3 doesn't change behavior. Moving from a 3 to a 4 doesn't change behavior. We should never top 2 boxes again. Don't put 4s with 5s. Don't put 9s with 10s. Don't ever use Net Promoter Score again, because 9s are 1.
We hate NPS. What a waste of money. What a waste of time.
It's also bad data, Ray. It's 9s are 1s. Like 4s are 3s are 2s are 1. If you really want to drive human behavior, you got to look at extreme positive experiences, which are 5s on a scale of 1 to 5, 10s on a scale. I'm sorry, it's a J curve. Moving 4s, 3s to 4, it doesn't get you anything. So really, what all of us as leaders have got to do is be really curious about what are extreme positive experiences. And that's where, if you keep pushing on it, there's no getting around it. You keep bumping into people, customers or colleagues, going, I love that. And so it behooves us to go, oh, love's the most powerful driver in business by far. There's nothing even close. Love is the most powerful driver of all productive human behavior. So if you want to drive productive human behavior, you better be super intelligent about love and designing it in. To your point, Vala, we design it out. I don't know why we design it out, because the data is pretty strong. Well, not pretty strong. It's incredibly strong. It's a driver of all things good.
I love the fact that you're emphasizing study excellence, not failure, and also make sure you don't consider, again, extreme positives. But I have to say, and I don't know if I should admit this because tens of thousands of people watch the show and it may reflect poorly on me, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're amongst friends. 30 years of working, leaving grad school. I've had experience design courses and formal practice. I've had leadership design, management design. I've been a CXO for 15 plus years. I've never had relationship design courses in my career. I've never had a formal process where people would teach me through a formula, through research. This is how you build healthy, sustainable relationships where people love your brand, love your company, love your products. Ray, have you had relationship design courses? Again, I've had experience design. I've had, focus on outcome, experiences, efficiency, productivity, blah, blah, blah. But I've never had relationship design. And I don't understand why are we not building it in? Of course, with your 11th book, or, leaders like myself will all open our eyes and ears and hopefully think about deliberate practice, discipline in making sure that we understand positive, extreme positives and focus.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you look at all the business schools, you go to INSEAD, you go to London Business School, Wharton, Stanford, Harvard, this sounds such a strange thing to say, particularly in a world of AI, as you guys were describing. There's no class on the most, how do you operationalize? And I know that operationalizing love sounds really weird and a bit kind of what, but there's no class on how do you operationalize the most powerful force in business. So we have human design, like IDEO does a bunch. Sure. But how do you, if you wanted to say the outcome is love that, you've got people charging around with love in their heart for your brand, or love in your heart for the team, or love in the heart for the company, love in the heart for the service or product. If you reverse engineer that, the question for all of us as leaders ought to be, well, how do we, first of all, is it a magical mystery tour? Is it just magic? Oh my gosh, they just magicked. I love that.
Automatic.
Yeah, if you reverse engineer it, it turns out there's actually 5 feelings, which we can get into or not, depending on our time. But there's a sequence of 5 feelings, Vala, that move you from the beginning of an experience to a point when you're walking around with love in your heart. That's a human mechanism. It's not Maslowian, but there is a mechanism. That's a blueprint. You can design it in.
I want to build on that. I think it's really important because what you're asking for is a new class of leaders. And the first part the leader has to have is they've got to love their craft. And we just saw someone in the last show, and you loved your craft, right? At the end
11
of the day,
books, you bet your ass he loves his craft. I mean, how
not
hard
only
it is
love
to
his
one.
craft,
You've committed your whole life to this. That's unbelievable.
So we need like a standout methodology for love, right? Going back to your roots, right? Something to actually assess people to figure out if they've got the love at work, and then we can talk about all the 5 other areas that you talk about. In the book,
you have control, you have harmony, you have significance, warmth of others, and growth. Which one of these 5? Well, I don't want to say which one.
Pick a child.
No. I mean, to bake a delicious cake, you need flour, you need sugar, you need egg, you need it all. I mean, I can't imagine you could get to the love design in principles with skipping any one of these. But was this a revelation to you on your 11th book, or you always knew the systematic 5 ingredients of creating love?
Well, like both of you, I'm a researcher of the world. So whenever you hear of a leader, to Ray's point, like we're in a fork in the road. We can have a bunch of chest thumpery that passes as leadership, or we can actually have people that are intelligent about the way in which they design experiences. And you got to look for people that have that. One of the people that I started the book with is a guy called Josh D'Amaro, who at the time was just running a big chunk of Walt Disney Company. But I followed him around for like 3 or 4 different occasions, and you can see, and the book tries to unpack, what's he doing? Why is he mobbed by guests as he walks the main street of Disneyland? When I've walked that Disneyland main street with about 30 different Disney executives over the years, I've never been mobbed like that. He's got a whole different, like he's sitting in a Millennium Falcon redesign meeting for 3 hours as he and these 30 Imagineers try to figure out how to redesign this ride, which, by the way, already has a 2-hour wait. So I'm saying to him, like, why are you even in the meeting, Josh? Like, are you trying to get a 4-hour wait? And he's like, no. We've got some data that suggests when people get off the ride, the Millennium Falcon ride, they like it, but they don't love it. And ours, this is his words, ours is a delicate brand. And anything that I do, it lives in the hearts of people. Anything I can do, and this goes to Ray's point, we need leaders who understand this. Anything I can do, says Josh, to move people from a like to a love, anything, any tweak, any adjustment to the way in which that ride is designed, that's an incredibly good use of my time. Wow. Now, as you both know, fast forward 9 months, last week or so, he was just made the successor to Iger. There's a smart board there who looked at a whole bunch of other kinds of leaders and went, no, we're going to go with him. I call it experience intelligence. It's a certain intelligence, and it's manifested through all the different things that he must have done to get somehow, which we could unpack if you want, but how did he get the guests to even know who he was, let alone mob him, all the way to getting into the nitty-gritty of why does the gunner's role versus the engineer's role versus the pilot's role in the Millennium Falcon, why does the pilot love it but the other two not? And he's in the weeds of that. That's experience intelligence. It is a new competency that I think will help companies differentiate themselves significantly. If passionately positive experiences that people say they love, drive their behavior, then to Ray's point, we better have leaders that know how to design it in. You look at people like Josh, and I'm not saying he's perfect, but he clearly has a lot of experience intelligence IQ, and it's not something that's taught anywhere. It's like the most bizarre absence. It's the thing that drives all productive behavior, but we don't teach it. So to go to those 5 things, Vala, we know love is built. We know not to, I don't know who was the original singer of this other than Phil Collins, but you can't hurry love, right? You can't hurry love. It sort of is built. So those 5 feelings, control, harmony, significance, warmth of others, and growth, I think of them as plates of armor. Customers or colleagues, humans, go through life like an armadillo. We are armored against the challenges and the harshness of life. And so if you're trying to get someone to say, I love that, you got to get them to take some of the armor off, because a pretty good definition of love is feeling more fully yourself over time. Humans love, you could call that flourishing, but it's like, we've got the armor on, but we want to do this. So as companies or leaders have got to figure out, how do you get people that are walking through like this, suspicious, careful, protected, vigilant, how do you get them to take the armor off? Well, those 5 feelings, control, people do want to feel like they understand the world you're inviting them in and what decisions they can make. Boy, you do that really well as a leader with customers or colleagues. One little plate of armor comes off. Harmony speaks directly to, do you know what I'm feeling and do you care? Whether it's a customer or a colleague saying that, that's their unspoken question. That's the next unspoken. Do you know what I'm feeling and do you care? Boy, if you can figure out through the way in which you deal with people, the tone of the email, the tone of that rejection letter, how do you get people to go, oh, you get what I'm feeling and you care? Significance is, do you understand my story and do you care? Do you understand my backstory, my front story? At some point, not to begin with, I don't want you to say it depends on you right at the start, because that feels chaotic. Control actually means give me some rules. But at some point, I want you to know you understand my story and you care. Warmth of others seems like an obvious one, but it's like humans hate to be isolated. Mechanistically, we humans do this when we feel like we're going through an experience by ourselves. Sure. So how do you deliberately link me up with, again, don't start with that. Don't even dream of starting with that, because I've got to start with my understanding of what I can do in that world. The final feeling's growth, because love's a forward-facing emotion. So if you love someone, you know that tomorrow they're going to have to wake up and face the world again. So anything you can do, like if you love someone, they're never finished. I'm done. No, they're going to wake up tomorrow and have to deal with the world. So anything you can do to give some small tip or trick or technique that helps me feel a tiny bit more capable tomorrow. Again, don't start with that. Don't even dream of starting with that, because I'm not ready to let that in yet. I've got 4 or 5 different plates of armor preventing your learning from actually touching me. So if you and I, Vala, were to create a course at INSEAD for this, we would go, okay, there's a mechanism to get people to get to a point where they go, I love that. As a leader, you better know the mechanism. As I was watching Josh redesign the Millennium Falcon ride, he was deliberately, control was first. then harmony. Like it was like oh my word, it's a blueprint for creating the experiences that drive productive human behavior. It's like,
that's
oh
amazing.
man,
That's
it's so cool.
How much I love experience intelligence more than artificial intelligence. I love that. Experience intelligence. That's going to be the 12th book. You don't know it yet, but it's going to be the 12th book. I love it.
With a forward from ChatGPT.
Yeah, and the other thing is, as I listen to you, and in terms of the 5 distinct experiences, you know, and I think about my mom. When I hit love, like the reason I love my mom more than, and there's so many reasons, we don't have enough time to get into it. But the one thing is she's others oriented. She will eat last in a gathering. Everything she does is for everyone else. So the best way I can describe it is she's others oriented. It's never about her. Do you need to be others oriented like Josh, like yourself, to build love in? Like, do you have to really, really deeply care more about the people around you more so than yourself? Is that what's common in all these extraordinary leaders that you profile? Is it that they're always looking at to create beauty and joy for others?
At the extreme, yes. It's a fundamentally moral stance. I mean, it's a business stance because we know that drives. If you design experiences that people say they love, that drives productive human behavior. So there's a pragmatism to it, but there's a moral stance to it. If you think about these leaders, what they're basically saying is that each human has worth. Each human's got something unique inside of them. Yes, they may be kind of armored up like an armadillo, but they want to get to 95 sitting on the porch and not look back and go, I never got a chance to express any of that, whether I'm a customer or a colleague. Like for Brian's conference, if people leave going, if they just feel a little bit like this, I was seen, I was heard, whether it was the temperature, the number of Red Bulls, or whether it was the quality of the speakers, if somehow I was touched in a way that did this, well, there's a moral stance to that. There are leaders who go, that's a good thing. Humans and their chance to become more fully themselves over time. Even if it's, by the way, that's why you can say, I love my mom, like you just did, but also I love my shoes. You might go, well, that's stupid. That's a careless use of a word, but it's like, it's not. The mechanism's the same. Whenever we humans have anything, it could be a pair of socks. It could be an AI agent, by the way. It could be my mom. Anything that helps me do this. We humans lean into that. So if there's leaders out there who go, that's a good thing. That is a morally good thing to see the human as the moral starting point for anything. Now, whether you call that altruism or other orientedness, that manifests in different ways. Your mom's way of manifesting that might be a wee bit different than Josh's or Ray's or yours. Sure. But the overall moral stance is humans have worth, and that uniqueness has got to come out in some way. When you miss that as a leader, you don't become immoral, you become amoral. You become, and there's a lot of, I mean, last year was the first year that we've been measuring trust, where less than 15% of people strongly agreed they trust any of the large institutions of society. So we're living in a world that's fundamentally transactional. Employees are called FTEs. Employees are headcount. Customers are their lifetime customer value or their average basket size. We get reduced morally. We get reduced to elements of a financial equation. And you know, even if you look at, and I don't want to name names, but you look at some of the emails that go out that have to lay people off, which happens in a capitalistic society, that happens.
Oh, the one earlier last week was awful. Yeah,
wasn't it though?
That was awful.
Imagine getting that. And by the way, the smallest things, talk about harmony, the smallest things that you could have done to ensure that that letter came from a person, but it didn't. There was no name. There was
no. That's all FedEx. They've pioneered that. At that company, they've pioneered that. It shows up automated at a FedEx on an automated workflow off of the HR system. So,
it's loveless, Ray.
It's loveless. It's loveless.
To Vala's point, it was designed love out. And you're like, that doesn't make any business sense at all. That letter should be an exhibit A of how do you destroy shareholder value. That is a shareholder value destruction letter, because the two questions any shareholder should expect have an answer to is, do we have more customers falling in love with our company tomorrow than today? And do we have more people loving working here tomorrow than today? Not every decision will drive those two questions, but those are the two questions. If you and I could go and start a new company, it would be like, immediately give shareholders access to how much blood is in the system, how much blood is coursing through the veins of that company. And in this case, blood means love. Do we have more customers loving us tomorrow? Do we have more employees loving working here tomorrow? Even if we have to lay them off, we still have to speak to them as though they're humans with worth. That's what love means, by the way. Love isn't a soft coating, right? Love is an ingredient. It's a leadership ingredient. It's a business ingredient, but it's also a tonal content ingredient of an email. Like, you can design it in. To your point, Vala, if you don't really believe in the worth of other humans, and you don't kill it, you just, as I said right at the beginning, you just forget about it.
How did you fall in love with this topic? How did you are like an energizer. I want to leave this podcast and start creating so much value.
I'm going to book you for my conference now.
How did you do it? Like, was it a mentor, a sponsor, a parent, a spouse, child? Is there a person, or what was the inflection point in your life where you said, I'm going to commit my life in making sure people really get what truly matters in their life? And that's love.
Well, my mentor was the chairman of Gallup, Don Clifton, who
wow, Don Clifton.
He was, when I joined Gallup, it was 1987. I was 3 years old. But English humor. Anyway, I was fresh out of university, and his whole thing was two things: human excellence, human uniqueness. Human excellence, human uniqueness. And I went up to Cambridge University to study psychology, and I didn't study anything to do with human excellence or uniqueness. It was all pathology. So this was pre-Martin Seligman and positive psychology, which was 88. Right? I went up to Cambridge at 84. So it was fine, but it was all pathological, like what's wrong with people. And it was all about general sort of social psychological patterns. What became called individual difference psychology really didn't exist very much at that time. So Don Clifton to me was a revelation around, race, gender, age, nationality, religion, all interesting, but they're not really the source of an individual's love of self and contribution. That comes from their uniqueness. Many of us have a brother or a sister raised in the same house, maybe the same gender, couldn't be more different in terms of what we love, what we loathe, what we lean into, what we lean out of. Human uniqueness is the beginning of morality. So for whatever reason, I just instinctively, was like, I want to spend my entire life thinking about how do we actually operationalize intelligently human uniqueness. Wow. And then you study the best managers, and of course, they don't say you're all the same. We don't try to treat you all the same. I got 10 salespeople on the team. Okay, but they're 10 individuals who happen to be driven in different ways. The job title's the same. How they close, how they build relationships, how they think, what kind of praise they respond to. It's all unique. And of course, the best leaders don't fight against that. That's not a bug. It's a feature, right? So I think for me that's always been, and that's why big companies, like, shame on me for not really thinking that through when the sale of my own company. But if we're not careful, human uniqueness inside, you work for a big company, human uniqueness inside of big companies, if you're not careful, becomes a problem that we need to solve, as opposed to a source of energy and love that we need to channel, which sounds like kind of airy fairy woo-woo kind of words. But when you look at people who are extremely productive, the word you bump into again and again and again is love. By the way, Vala, that doesn't mean they love all that they do. So the idea, like, find a job you love, you'll never have to. No. They don't find a job they love. They don't love 100% of what they do. They find the love in what they do, which is different. And by the way, there's data out of the Mayo Clinic that suggests 20% is a good threshold. Love 20% of the activities in your job. All sorts of other things spike. Creativity, performance, resilience, well-being.
No, we have to set the environment for that success as leaders.
Yes.
And that's really what you're in. And I'm sorry we're about to run out of time, but we got to get you in for a conference, I think. Design love in.
Marcus is going to design love into my company.
We're going to lead the most powerful force in business. Yeah. And you're right, Val. Yeah, got to get him into your company. Marcus Buckingham. You got to design love in. Get the book. Get the pre-order. It is not out yet. This is the
Tuesday.
DisrupTV. So we really appreciate you coming in here early. And of course, you love your craft. You can feel it.
Brilliant work. Congratulations.
Well, I loved it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ray, we could have talked to Brian and Marcus the entire hour. I got to tell you, this is the fastest hour of my week. And when we get two remarkable back-to-back
We'll
guests,
see him in the green room too. But
I'm always
I was
thinking-
complaining to Elle. I was complaining to Elle, like, we've got 2 guests, not 3. And she's like, no, these people are amazing. We got to give them more time.
Yeah, listen, I love having 3 guests, but thank you, Elle, for only
Thank you,
having
Elle,
2
for
guests.
having 2 guests.
Yeah,
You're completely
because-
right on this one. This is the
Oh
best.
my God,
So
that was. I'm going to ask you to summarize, like a ChatGPT version 10. Summarize in 30 seconds or less what we just heard.
yeah, so look, we are entering in an AI phase that says things are getting done. And that's what's important about this is it's not something that's passive, it's massively active, it's massively exponential. And basically, Brian's basically sharing that with us at the MTech AI conference, which people should check out, along with the DisrupTV 26 code. And then, of course, talking about love and craft, and that's the opposite of where AI is headed, right? We're about to enter a world of extreme efficiency, and we've got to build for human scale. Right? In a machine scale world, in an AI scale world, if we don't build for human scale, we're going to miss the whole point of humanity. And I think that's what Mark was getting at. And leaders have to create that environment for this to happen. We know expertise is a commodity, but experience isn't. And part of that experience means setting up the right environment for this to happen. So I'll send it back to you because we don't have much time left. So
no, it's again, we're at an inflection point from human-led machine assist to now maybe in the next decade machine-led human assist. And I love that Marcus reminded us, listen, IQ is important, EQ is important, experience, intelligence, loved it, but LQ, your love quotient, it's IQ and EQ and LQ that's going to help us.
I think you're writing the forward for his next book, man.
Yeah, experience, intelligence, I loved it. Anyway, next week, that was an incredible hour. Next week, we have Anna Hall, President and CEO of Ultimate Health School, will be joining us, and Patricia Martin, author of Will the Future Like You? Reflections on the Age of Hyper Reinvention. So we're going to talk about from love to like next week. If it's Friday, it's Disrupt TV. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
And
Bye,
guess
everyone.
we'll see you in the green room.